Hello everyone, hope you're all doing well. This video is going to, not to say the obvious, be a little bit different because I've seen some content recently that's made me want to offer my thoughts on some stuff in the Payday community, clear up some things that people have been saying recently that I can offer some interesting information on or clarifications, things I've already said previously in comment sections, streams, etc., and also just offer some general thoughts based on some content both from other partners and also from the wider Payday community that I've seen, especially in the last few weeks/months. I think I've got some unique takes I want to offer on them, and I want to just lay them all out here. There's going to be a lot of different thoughts shared in this video, and the chapter markers are useful in this video now more than ever. If you want to hear me talk about specific points, feel free to use those to guide which bits you watch, or just leave the whole video on. Put it on the background, listen to me talk while you're playing a game. It's what I do with a lot of content, and let's face it, apart from the amount of stuff in my bedroom, there's not much else interesting going on in this video apart from my face, if you'd even count that. So why am I making this video before I get into details? Well, first off, I want to acknowledge two videos from fellow Payday partners, or Starbreeze Partners. The Noli, making a video recently about being wrong about Payday 3 and the ways that we can fix the game. And secondly, Rusty Chain's video, and how the apathy towards content creators and the whole status of Payday 3 has really harmed how they make content. John specifically, but they are a group channel and it's important to count all of them in that. Both of them offered some really good thoughts, and in both videos I found myself at certain points sat there thinking, that's a good point. I feel the same way. So I'm linking both of them in the description. They are well worth watching. And I will just say, I don't think partners saying enough, and it's not a criticism, it's just the way we make our content. I would actively encourage anyone who likes Payday to check out every single Payday partner, because everyone offers content in different ways. And also, as something I'll mention later in more detail, don't base everything you think off what we say. I think if anyone takes what I say as gospel and suddenly just spouts it to other people, then you lose your own voice. It's important to bear in mind other people's opinions. That's why I'm here and why the Payday partners are here. But it's not something you should always just go off as gospel, and I think that's important, and I think to some people that idea has been forgotten, so that's one reason I want to talk about a lot of stuff today. And the other thing also is that I put out a tweet earlier this week that got me some attention on the Payday Reddit and also just generally on Twitter, saying that we'd seen a little bit of a peek at Payday 3's upcoming roadmap for summer content. I can't share much more than that. NDA is going to be NDAs. I put that tweet out purely because we attended a meeting in the Discord for the partners with Starbreeze, and they shared their plans for the summer months. I won't be too specific because, again, I don't really know how much I can say, but I just found myself smiling a lot going through what they were saying, and it just gave me the feeling of, oh, this is going somewhere, this feels good, and so I tweeted that out because I had a smile on my face and thought it was nice to share. I realised with that comes unfair expectations and overhyping, and I think it's important to remember to not get too overhyped before things are delivered, or not really get hyped at all. Excitement is good, and it really does drive passion for gaming, but it can also be a very strong weapon used against it if things don't go well, which Payday 3 is a very fine example of that. So I just put that tweet out to say they are planning some good things, and if their actions do land based on what they told us in that meeting, Payday 3 really could turn around. But we don't know until it happens, and I would not for a second say to you to bank on it, because even I'm not banking on it. I had a smile on my face in that meeting, but I was sat there thinking, actions speak louder than words, let's see those actions. And honestly, I'm sure Starbreeze think the exact same thing, and will be planning for the exact same thing, at least I hope. So first off, I want to talk about June 2023, because I have talked about this a few times in videos as passing remarks. I've mentioned it loads in comment sections. I've talked about it a lot on Twitch, but I feel like I should just mention this in its own little thing. I am well aware that because of the videos myself and other Starbreeze partners put out in June 2023, when we played Payday 3 early and shared our thoughts, that compromised our credibility to a lot of you. Because when the game actually launched, we all found out it was nowhere near as good as any of the partners had made it out to be. And that's fair. I will hold my hands up to that and apologise for that as much as I possibly can. And for the record, bluntly, I will say here, I am really sorry. I absolutely hate how all that went down. One thing I pride myself on in my content is my honesty. I always like to say exactly what I'm thinking whenever I'm thinking it. And so when I made those videos, I genuinely felt that the game was going to be amazing. There are a few reasons for why that went down the way that it went down, and I don't want people to hear these and think that I'm trying to excuse myself. I'm explaining the logic here, but I know that we were at fault for that, and I do want to hold my hands up and apologise for that, and that's why I led by saying that. But I do think that there were a few things that played a wider part into that. First off, we were all injected with some very strong Payday 3 hopium. We were all very excited for the impending release of Payday 3, and all of us got flown out to Stockholm, Sweden. They paid to fly us over, yes, they did do that. We were arranged to go there to meet the developers of a game some of us talked about for a decade, and get a peek at the next game, which again had been a decade in the making. That is always going to get you a bit excited. It's always going to get you hyped up, and that will have an effect on our content. I am under no illusions about that whatsoever. But on top of that, we only got to play for about 2 or 3 hours, and for me, even less so. Out of every single Starbreeze partner, I have gone on record before and said this, but I definitely played Payday 3 the least out of everyone. I don't think that undermines the videos I made. I feel like I played it enough to give the opinions that I offered, But even for the people who weren't busy doing interviews with Almir and Andreas like I was, we only got a couple of hours. We didn't get that long to play with it. We got 2 heists, No Rest for the Wicked and Under the Surface, and I do think, with all the love in the world to Starbreeze, because I really do respect the devs on that team, I think there's some lovely people in there, and even if you disagree with the things that some of them are doing recently, whether you have bad feelings about Mio's game direction or any wider management that the company's doing, or anything beyond that, I don't agree with everything they're doing, but they are a lovely group of people at their very core, and that's important to mention. However, I do think that as a company, Starbreeze knew exactly what they were doing in what they showed us. They gave us the aces up their sleeve, they showed us the best things the game had to offer, and we honed in on those because we didn't really have time to look at the holes. We didn't have time to spot the cracks because it was very much play these couple of hours, we'll explain the core features, and that's it, it's a wrap. Only really after the game came out and we had some serious time with it did those cracks really start to show. And especially when the game wasn't getting updated for months, those cracks just got bigger and bigger until the ceiling started caving in. And of course, let's not forget, they told us it was a build that was made in April of 2023. It was already 2 months out of date when we played it, and by the time the beta swung around, it was 4 or 5 months out of date. So we were under the impression from the way they presented it to us that it was nowhere near what the game was at right now. They would really fine-tune things, refine things, and make things better, and the full launch would be different. And as we all know, it was barely different at all. A couple of little tweaks to menu UI and things, and that was it. There were no real changes. So we were hoodwinked on that for one thing. In terms of the content I made that day, though, I do still agree with a lot of it because I've always stood by that Payday 3 feels better than Payday 2, and the reason that I said that was because I personally, not everyone will agree, but I enjoyed the gunplay more. It felt more responsive and more modern, and I really, really loved the stealth. I don't think many people disagree on that part particularly, but stealth is vastly superior to Payday 2. I went into obviously a lot of wider mechanics and heists beyond that and was very positive, and again, you play things for a very short period of time on that hopium, you don't have time to see the cracks. So that's just me offering my overall thoughts on what happened there, because I know that there's been some misconceptions there. That is how it went down. I'm sure the other partners will be able to offer their thoughts if you ask them. Some of them already have done so, but that was the June situation. But the next thing to focus on is how partners as a whole, not just myself, have changed up the narrative, so to speak, since the game's launch. We were all super positive. We all loved the game. Then suddenly, when everyone else hates it, we hate it too. Don't worry, guys. We don't think the game's good either. Was that intentional? Was it not? Well, for me personally, I am just making the content that I feel I want to make at that time. As I said, one thing I pride myself on is my honesty, and it's why I hate June so much, because had we had more time, I maybe could have found more things that are wrong with it. Maybe I couldn't, maybe I'd have still been on the hopium, but I live in hope that I might have been able to make better content and more balanced content had I had more time. But genuinely, everything I've made on my channel at the time that it was put up, I've stood by those opinions. It's important to remember opinions change, they do not stay the same, and sometimes I will change my titles to reflect that. It doesn't happen often, but it's happened twice in Payday 3's lifetime. Once was the I'm done rant video, where I said I was just done because I couldn't be bothered with Starbreeze not communicating and not updating the game. That title was changed from I'm done to I'm tired. I know people picked up on that and went, why has he done that? It's because it just wasn't true. I was no longer done. I was done at the time and then I wasn't, and I felt it was important to change that title to accommodate it. And the other one was far more recently, which was Update 6's release, because I said it was a bad update, and after it came out that all these amazing things had happened with animations, etc., that weren't in the patch notes, I felt that title wasn't true anymore and changed it to Update 6 hides its best content, because I don't like things being inaccurate, and most of the time I'll leave it to stand the test of time, but if I really think it needs changing, I will do it. And also, I've occasionally changed videos that have had years in them. How to mod Payday 2. Originally that came out in 2020, and I've renamed it to How to Mod Payday 2 in 2021, 22, 23, 24, because the points are still true and they still apply. I think that's fair to do. You may disagree, but I do know there's been a very big curve in people going from positive to negative, and I think that's because, much like yourselves in the Payday community, you have to remember we are Payday fans at our very core, at least I am. I'm just a 24-year-old guy who sits in his nerdy-ass bedroom collecting lightsabers of all things, talking about Payday 3. Don't take my word as gospel, I just talk about things that I like. But of course, with Payday 3 didn't have much going for it and people started to see those cracks in it, I started to see them too. Your opinions changed at the same time that mine did. I think a lot of us were super excited when we all played the beta. I think some cracks showed in that beta, but everyone was still pretty excited about the game, as far as I can see by and large. When the game came out, it all changed. Our opinions don't shift based on catering to the audience, they shift because, at least for myself, I see the things you see, and then I end up feeling the same way just by coincidence. I know that sounds stupid. Oh, it's all coincidental. It's true. And people point out things and I go, you're so right. Oh, that's awful. And then that will reflect in my content. And it's at the point now where if you say something negative, you're called a doom poster. If you say something positive, you're called a shill. So actually, let me clear one thing up very quickly about the shill things. I've said it a few times, but I want to make this clear. There have only been 2 times when promotions have happened for Payday with Starbreeze and the partners. The first time was in Christmas 2021, I think it was. We did a sponsored video to promote their Christmas update. You can go back and see it's marked for paid promotion. The only other time, as I said, was getting flown out to Sweden. We were not paid to do it, but our flights and accommodation were covered. Any other expenses were ours to make. So any money we spent in Sweden was our own. We weren't recompensated for that. That was our choice. So flights and hotel were covered, and we were given a bit of money for a Christmas update. That is it. We're not paid or asked by Starbreeze to make any videos. Our content is our own, and I signed on because I made it very clear at the time that if my content was going to be impacted by the partnership, I wouldn't sign on. And it was said to me very boldly as a statement that they don't want anything to change, positive or negative, because that's why they asked me to begin with. They liked the takes that I offered, which, thanks. I appreciate that. And so I will offer those positive or negative commentaries as much as I feel is necessary. And I know that recently, a lot of people have started labeling me as a very negative person, and that's another reason why I've made this video. If you know me well from my Twitch streams, you know that I am one of the most optimistic, cheerful, and always seeing the good in things people that I possibly can be. I personally just like to find the good in things, but I know that with Payday 3, that is really skewed, and I haven't been doing it. And I noticed it myself, but when I heard other people saying it as well, it really started to sting. And I don't know if you've noticed, maybe you haven't, but in myself personally, I have made an effort over the last 5 or 6 videos, since my first Crime Boss one this year, to actually change the narrative and try and be more positive, to find the good in things and stop just moaning for the sake of it. I will make criticisms where I feel necessary, but I do think in the past when I've criticised things, still fairly, I've gone in too hard or been a bit too negative or said things that didn't help. Whether they were criticisms that need to be made, I just felt like sometimes I was repeating things that had already been said or been a bit too negative. So please be aware, I am trying to change that. And I think in my last few videos, I really have shifted that narrative a bit. And when I've been too negative, cut myself off because I don't want to repeat myself or bring down the mood if I am trying to shine on good things. I'll still be balanced. I'll still say things are good and bad. So if I make a video later down the line that says something's bad, it's because I think so. But I'm going to try my best to be more positive, or at least optimistic when I can be, because life's too short. I can't be arsed spending years of my life sat here saying things are bad. I'll just rather go and do something else. But that brings me on to another point that I want to talk about. I'm saying that a lot this video. As I said, there's a lot of thoughts in my brain. I am very, very aware that the Crime Boss video I made saying in the thumbnail it was better than Payday 3 ruffled quite a few feathers. And I will be honest with you, I knew it would. But that's because, much like I've said about my attitude to content, everything I put in my title and thumbnail are statements I stand by, at the very least at the time I make them, if not long term. I still personally think Crime Boss Rocket City is better than Payday 3 right now. That could easily change if Payday 3 gets some good updates, but I do think that it's nice to have 2 heisting games that hopefully can get to really good points and we can play both of them in tandem. Who loses in that situation? We don't have problems by having more games to play that we enjoy. Why bother hating on something? If you don't want to play it, fine. But I think it was nice to open up the narrative a bit more on a game that really got shafted at launch by everybody, mainly because it wasn't that great at launch, if we're all being honest. Even they know it. But now to shine a light on it and say, hey, it's actually good now. Some people don't care, and that's fair. But I personally was really surprised by it and wants to share those thoughts. And I do stand by that right now it's better than Payday 3. Does that mean I'm giving a middle finger to Starbreeze and saying I'm done with you? No, it doesn't. Does that mean I'm going to stop making Payday 3 content? I answered this in a video before. I'm going to keep sticking with Payday 3 until it sinks or swims. I'm in it for the long haul now, for better or worse. And hopefully, it will be better as the summer months come on. We'll see. It depends on how they release their content. But that was why I made that video at the time, the changing things up, saying I'm going to make videos and other content. It was because I was getting a bit tired of making videos that were negative for the sake of it. I thought, let's just go back to what you've been doing from the start. You make videos on Payday when there's things to talk about. You offer your thoughts when there's thoughts to be made. But if there's not, don't make a video for the sake of it. Don't make something that you don't need to make. Talk about something else. So that's why I've done a couple of Baldur's Gate 3 videos. It's why I've done a couple of Crime Boss Rocket City videos. To be honest, leaking my own content ahead of time, I'm thinking of making a video on Starfield. It's not exactly relevant right now, but the recent update for that made me like the game a lot more. Maybe I'll make a video on that. I'm not so ingrained in the performance of my analytics and wanting the channel to do well, which I do care about, that I won't just make the odd video that I want to if I fancy it, because as far as I'm concerned, I want to always try and offer positive takes on things. Whether you click on those videos or not is your call. You know, you're the viewer. You decide what you want to watch, what you don't want to watch. I don't even need to tell you that. You know this. What I think we all need to just remember at the end of the day is that the only reason any of us are still here talking about Payday is because we love the franchise and we have investment in it. Whether you're someone who watches my videos start to end, doesn't skip the ads, thanks very much, and just generally shares positive comments about Payday 3, or whether you're someone who can't stand my content and clicks on a video to leave a hate comment and bugger off, you're only doing that because you have investment in the franchise. I mean, if you didn't care about Payday, why the hell are you wasting your life commenting on my videos? Go comment somewhere else, be positive somewhere else, be negative if you want to. I'd rather you didn't, but I can't stop you. All of us do what we do in this community because we love the franchise. The franchise has hooks in us stronger than I think any of us would like to admit to sometimes. And that's what drives a lot of it. If Payday 3 had been some no-mark game release, it would have died a death, it would have flopped on its arse, and no one would be talking about it now in May of 2024. But because it's that longer-lasting franchise that people have these fond memories of and this love for, we're sat there kicking it, being like, come on, do something, because we want it to get good. And in the last 8 months, it ain't really done that. We'll see if that changes. And so it comes around to my overall thoughts. And I haven't decided what my title is or my thumbnail for this video, but I'm hoping the idea is just going to be, do I think Payday 3 still deserves the love? Do I think it can be saved? Yes, on both accounts. I've not made any bones recently of saying that I think there is a chance Payday 3 could completely flop and fail. I do, honestly, still think that is the case. Whether you really overanalyze the viewing figures and say, oh, no one's playing the game anymore, blah, 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 that doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, they're just going to do their best and hopefully pull things back. But there is a chance it won't go well. I think everyone knows that at this point. But I don't think at the same time it's wise to discount that this franchise hasn't still got a bit of life left in it. I think a lot of us get lost in negativity sometimes and don't really spend the time thinking, how can things get better? Payday 3 has a lot of issues with it. The heists don't have as much RNG as they should. The weapons aren't varied enough. There aren't enough customization options. Blah, 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 blah. Things you've all heard a million times. But these are all things that can get made better, either in future content that shows what they've learned, or in things being changed and tweaked and improved to make them more like what we wanted, like the progression system update coming in Update 7. Things like that can hopefully start to change the narrative, and I do think that hopefully with a bit of love, Payday 3 can be the game that we all hoped it would be when the Starbreeze Partners made our extremely exciting videos back in June of 2023. I really do think there is still a timeline ahead of us where Payday 3 can get good. Call me an idiot, call me an optimist, call me a shill, even if I've literally said to you quite clearly that I'm not. As far as I'm concerned, as I said before, I'm just some random guy in my bedroom offering takes on a video game franchise. If you care enough to click and see what I think, I'm very grateful to you. But I don't ever want anyone to ever take my opinions as gospel. It's just like watching an Anthony Fantano video and then all of a sudden all the opinions he has on that album are now your opinions. You inhale them via osmosis. Don't do that. I don't think I need to say that to most of the people watching this video, but I think it's important to remember. Some people look at Starbreeze Partners or content creators in general as these people who can move mountains and bring about change, and sometimes we can. I'm not missing the forest for the trees there. But I think the comment section is just as important as the videos we put out. If I was a game developer, I wouldn't watch one YouTuber's video and say, oh, everyone hates us. I'd look at the comment section. I'd look to see if everyone agrees or disagrees. I'd look at other YouTube videos and see what the general idea is. We're all Payday fans. We're all muddling through this little mess we call Payday 3, hoping that one day it will turn into a golden goose, because it could well do so. So we keep our fingers crossed and we hope. What more can we do than that? But that about sums up everything I want to say. I'm going to keep making the content that I'm making on Payday and non-Payday stuff when appropriate. I'm just going to keep on with that, ideally with a bit less of the needless negativity. As I said, I think the last couple of months, I've lost sight of that, and I want to try and refocus and lose that edge a little bit and focus on the optimism and the positivity when it's necessary. I will still criticize when I think it's right, but I'll also take a step back when I think I'm being too negative. I want to just offer my opinions and just carry on playing video games and have fun. If you're still watching this video, thank you all very much. As I said in the Changing Things Up video, I really cannot thank you all enough for the support that you guys offer me. For everything that I've said about not taking what we say as gospel, which I still stand by, I do love that people care what I have to say and do at least take in my opinions and share your thoughts on them or talk about them to other people. You know, this person said this, I agree with this, I disagree, what do you think? I love that I can see my name without being egotistical and being full of myself, because I really don't want to be that, but there's something really nice about seeing someone say, Red Archer said this. It means a lot to me personally deep down to know that my thoughts have a bit of an impact. I'm very, very grateful for that, and more than ever in the last 12 months aware of the impact they can have, positive or negative. And like I said, June really proved that, and I think it's been a good thing for me and my content to really remind me the things that I say do matter, whether I think you should take them as verbatim or not. The content I put out matters, and all of you watching and commenting and liking, you prove that time and time again, and I cannot thank you enough for that. I really, really can't. Don't know why I'm getting emotional saying that. That's really cringy. Let's move on. Thank you all very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I'm going to keep up the 2 videos a week schedule as much as I can. So Payday Dev Blog video on Friday, and I'm planning a Crime Boss video for Tuesday. So I hope you're looking forward to both of those if you watch them. If not, see you whenever my next video is, or on my Twitch streams if you want to go follow me over there. But thank you for taking the time to listen to me. For whatever this video length is at the minute, I've been recording for half an hour. I know it won't be that long in the edit, but I appreciate you just listening to my thoughts. I really do appreciate it. It means a lot to me, and I appreciate having a platform where I can get some of my thoughts out and go on with my day. Much like you can watch this video and get on with yours. Much love. I won't take any more of your time. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. If you're in the UK, the rest of your bank holiday weekend. I'll see you on Tuesday with another video. Much love. Take care. See you soon.